Hi everyone, welcome to another Weekly Forex Forecast for the week ending November 27th, 2020. My name is Justin Bennett with Daily Price Action, and in today's forecast we're going to talk about the EURUSD, the Pound USD, the New Zealand dollar versus the US dollar, as well as two cryptocurrencies, Ethereum and VeChain. I'm going to show you where the New Zealand dollar is on the brink of breaking out, and also cryptocurrencies have been on an absolute tear recently, and the upcoming move is one that you're not going to want to miss in my opinion. So we'll get to all of that and more in today's video, so let's get to it right now. A quick disclaimer that today's video is for educational purposes only. All views are my opinion and are not intended as investment advice. Forex is a high reward, high risk business, and you should not trade with borrowed money or money you cannot afford to lose. See the description of this video for the full disclaimer. So first up we have the EURUSD, and not much has changed here since last week's forecast. We still have this sideways price action between 116.15 and that 119.70 area. So notice how down here this 116.15 has been support, and on the upside this 119.70 area is attracting sellers. So until the EURUSD breaks free from this range over the coming sessions, there isn't a whole lot to do here. However, as I've been talking about now for several weeks, we have this uptrend, now we have sideways consolidation, so naturally I do like the idea of a move above 119.70 eventually, followed by that 121.50 area. And I maintain my longer term target of 125 as we go into 2021, and a lot of that has to do with what's happening on the monthly time frame. So this again is something I've been talking about a lot, and the EURUSD is holding well above the top of this multi-year symmetrical triangle. All right, now this 114.50 area, this has been the key for me. As long as the EURUSD is above this 114.50 area, I like the pair higher. And as you can see, we're holding well above that. Even this latest retracement didn't come close to it. And to me, just looking at this monthly time frame, you can see where we've had this sideways movement that we just looked at on the daily time frame. All right, so we had this breakout on this candle here, and since that time, we've just been going sideways. So given this latest rally off of this symmetrical triangle low, we had the rally, sideways consolidation, and now it does look to me like we could get a breakout either later this year or early next year for a push up into that 125 area. The only thing that would negate this idea is if we saw the EURUSD move lower and close a month below 114.50. But as for right now, just looking at the daily time frame, there isn't much to do until either 116.15 breaks or that 119.70 area. Next we have the pound, and this is what I just discussed on Friday. The video I made for members is going to be similar to today's, where basically the daily time frame, we're looking at this wedge pattern that's formed where we have this May trendline support, and then we also have this upper level that is significant on the monthly time frame. You can see where it connects with this high back here. So if we move over to the monthly, you can see where this is a massive falling wedge pattern that's formed over the last 20 years. So notice how this is the 2000 low back here. This is the 2007 high. And this pattern is pretty well worn over the last 20 years. So this to me indicates that we could see a breakout from the pound to move higher. And even if you just look at this recent price action here on the monthly time frame, you can see that this looks to be a bottoming formation here. All right, so right now, we could get a break above this wedge resistance any month now, and that could trigger a move higher into 2021. So here's what that looks like on the daily time frame. This upper level is the top of that wedge we just looked at. So this area right around the 133 handle, maybe just above it. And then we also have a horizontal level here that buyers are going to have to break right around 134.80. All right, so the idea is that if we do get a daily and especially a weekly close above 133, perhaps 133.40, followed by 134.80, that gets in the pound much higher into 2021, perhaps up here toward 143.50. Looking at the weekly time frame, you can see where this was the double top that formed in 2018. So again, just looking at this recent price action, this to me looks like the pound wants to break above 134.80 and head higher into 143.50 into next year. But it's going to be key to see a break not only of this wedge resistance, but also the 134.80 horizontal area. Alternatively, if we do get a close below this May trend line, so if the pound rotates lower and it takes out this trend line on a daily closing basis, that could indicate weakness, and it could also indicate that we could see an extended move lower from the pound before we get a break of that falling wedge resistance. Next, we have the New Zealand dollar, and this to me is actually very similar to the EURUSD, only that the New Zealand dollar is front running the euro. And what I mean by that is if you look at this sideways price action back here when the pair was below this 167.90 level, all right, so this area between here, this sideways price action looks very similar to what the EURUSD is doing right now. So we had this uptrend back here, then we had this sideways range, and the New Zealand dollar has since broken out of the top of that range. So I talked about this recently where a close above 67.90 would target that 69.40 area. You can see where 69.40 did attract some sellers last week. So the idea here going forward is that if we do see a rotation lower into that 68 area, I'll be looking for a buying opportunity from there. However, if we do simply get a daily close above 69.40, that could also present a buying opportunity for a move up into 71.60 over the coming days and weeks. So this uptrend here still looks very healthy to me, and the bullish bias, at least for me, is intact as long as the pair is above 67.90 on a daily closing basis. Now, looking at the monthly time frame to get an idea of where the pair may be going in the longer term, this is something I've discussed several times where this March breakdown back here was false. This close back inside of this wedge pattern confirmed it, and we've since had a breakout above wedge resistance. We had consolidation. Again, this is very similar to where the EURUSD is now, except the EURUSD is still in this consolidation, whereas the New Zealand dollar is starting to break out. So if this continues, and if the pair can stay above 68 going into 2021, I do like the idea of an extended move higher up toward this 75 area. So we'll see how things play out, but again, this uptrend looks very healthy to me. We could get a pullback into 68 or a daily close above 69.40, but either way, I'm interested in looking for buying opportunities here, and I will not be selling the New Zealand dollar as long as 68 support is intact. Next up, we have Ethereum or ETHUSD, and this is a cryptocurrency that I've been buying ever since it was just above $200. So I've talked about this several times on the website, where we had this breakout from this trend line back here. And note too that this $1,400 area up here, this is the all-time high for Ethereum. So we had this breakout from this trend line, we had the consolidation through here, and this is where I was buying ETHUSD. I was buying through all of this consolidation through here. We then had this massive rally up here just below $500, and we've since had consolidation. Now, this is something I talked about recently where we have another trend line in play, just like the one we had back here. So notice how this trend line, again, extends off of the all-time high. Notice back here it connects with this high, and this time it connects with this one. So we have a very similar situation to this breakout back here. Now, we also have a key level right around that $500 area, and if I move into the daily time frame, you can see where Ethereum broke above that yesterday. All right, so this area right around 490, this is going to be support going forward. So even if we do see a rotation lower, I do expect buyers to come out and defend 490. But even if we get a move below that, this area right around $430 is going to be support. Now, looking at that weekly time frame, in my opinion, this breakout here, if we do get a weekly close above this level and also 490, the next key resistance area isn't until $800. Notice back here it was support, it was then resistance. So $800 is going to be the next key resistance if we do get a weekly close above 490. So like all the cryptocurrencies I've talked about, I will be holding Ethereum for at least the next year or so. And I do think that it's going to go much higher than $800 during this cyclical bull market. So it's likely headed to $800 and also to retest that all-time high right around $1,400. And I think it goes much higher than that this cycle. And last but not least, we have VeChain or VETUSD. And this is another cryptocurrency that I've been talking about all year. So I was actually buying this back here through this consolidation right around 0.008 or just above it. I've also been buying this recent dip. So all of these dips through here, I was adding to my position. And it's pretty clear to see when you look at the weekly time frame what's happening here, that we had this breakout from a multi-year consolidation. All right, so this was the consolidation back here. And we had this breakout on this candle. We've since pulled back And now look what's happening. We're starting to get that first higher high within this series. So something I mentioned on Twitter a while back is that sometimes all you have to do is take a step back and map out the highs and lows to see what's happening. So if I do that here, you can see where we have this high back here. We then have lower highs along the way. However, recently, VET is starting to carve the first higher high. All right, so we had this high back here, and now look what's happening today. We're getting a breakout of that 0.0125 area. And this is also the first higher high within this series. So if you were to map these out and just connect them, look at what's starting to happen. We're starting to get that turn higher. And in my opinion, if we do close the week above 0.025, that's going to expose 0.015. Notice how back here it was support. It then closed below that level and 0.015 became resistance. And make no mistake about it too, if we look at the 4-hour time frame, this is something I talked about recently too on the website, where this looks to be an inverse head and shoulders. It's not the cleanest pattern I've ever seen, but the head down here, you can pick any one of these lows back here to be the left shoulder, and they all qualify. Same thing back here. Any one of these lows could be the right shoulder. So this inverse head and shoulders, the measured objective here happens to be 0.015. However, that's not where I'm going to be taking profit. As I've mentioned many times, all the cryptocurrencies I own, I'm going to own for at least the next year because we are entering a new cyclical bull market. So in my opinion, I do think that if VET closes above 0.025 this week, we could see 0.015 followed by that 0.02 area. That said, I do think that VET is going to go much, much higher than that over the next year or so, and that anybody who sells at 0.015 or 0.02 is going to be wishing they hadn't. And again, that's just my opinion, but I do think that Bitcoin, Ethereum, VeChain, XRP, and others are going to go much, much higher than where they are currently. It's going to drag the entire cryptocurrency market higher, just like we saw back in 2017. So these are those moves that you don't want to miss, in my opinion. These are game changers for a lot of people, and that's not just hype. If you look at what's happened already with Ethereum, I was buying at $200, it's at $500 now. I was buying Bitcoin at $7,000, it's almost at $19,000 now. So everyone needs to do what they feel comfortable with, but for me, cryptocurrencies are sort of my long-term hedge against the money printing that we're seeing around the world. All right, but as for VET, a weekly close above 0.0125, opens up 0.015 followed by 0.02. But again, I do think it's going to go much, much higher over the next year. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, leave your comment below, and be sure to subscribe to my channel. See you next time.